In this video, you're going to learn how, as designers, we blend old with new to create a really cohesive and collected design. You're going to have a deeper understanding of how to really develop your own personal design style and how to exactly bring that to life in your own home. Hi, if this is your first time here, my name is Chloe LeGras. I am the founder of Boxwood Avenue. I split my time between the States and Paris, so I'm here in my little apartment in Paris. I started Boxwood Avenue about 10 years ago. I had a sewing machine. I started an Etsy shop sewing pillows. Since then, I've grown the design firm. We also host antiquing trips all throughout Europe, so if you wanted to, or if you ever dreamt of coming to Europe and going antiquing, it's really fun. We go to cooking classes, we rent out chateaus or really incredible five-star hotels, and generally the people who come are like the most amazing women who just love design, love antiques, and we always end up creating incredible friendships with everybody who comes. I'm also the owner of Boxwood Avenue Mercantile, so if you're looking for incredible lighting, vintage pieces, or curated furnishings for your home, be sure to check that out. Today we are going to be talking about design, my favorite topic outside of antiques, goats, and ponies. So let's get started. Should have got a cappuccino or a glass of champagne to talk about this today. Today I'm going to be taking you behind the design of our most recent project reveal. I'm really excited for these bedside chats. Of course, you see here on YouTube all of these incredible professionally shot videos. We do them as well during our project reveals, but I wanted to kind of carve out a little space here on YouTube where I could just talk to you about design, because yes, I'm a designer. I'm constantly traveling. I'm constantly creating content to share on Instagram and TikTok, Pinterest, Substack, everywhere, that YouTube feels kind of like this little secret spot because I just started doing it and I feel like I can just like be myself here and talk about design because it's what I'm most passionate about and it's what I love. And I know that you watching this, you are equally as passionate and just want to learn like how to make your space feel cozy and collected and cohesive. That's what we're going to talk about today. And I hope that this video is recording because I'm doing this by myself right now. This project is based in Austin, Texas, and the client came to us actually through YouTube. That's funny. I hadn't even thought about that while I was making this video, but she came through YouTube just as like a color consult. I offer consultations for people anywhere, and we just do like a 1 hour one-on-one. So that's actually how I met this client. She also loved Europe. She kind of wanted to bring in a little bit of the Parisian glam and Parisian like contemporary style and clean lines. Like Paris has this kind of lightness and airiness about it in some regard. So she wanted that to be brought into this new build. And of course, being a new build, sometimes it can be difficult to add in layers and charm and character because you have new cabinetry, new tile, new, and you really have to be thoughtful about the materials and the way that you bring things in. So she came to me looking for that, and we started just doing a couple consultations, developing the color palette and picking out some architectural elements that could really shine. And we just kind of clicked. This project became really special to us because it was unexpected. It started off as something where it was just really fun to help our client bring her home to life. But we started to, as a team, Gabby, she is the senior designer on the team, so she was the lead on this project. We always work together. But between Gabby, the client, and I, we started to really like get into the nitty-gritty of a really cool collaborative process. And that's one of the things that I love most about our design firm is that we never want to have a specific boxwood style or boxwood aesthetic. For some designers, that's really how they grow their brand, and people come to them looking for a specific aesthetic. And of course, people come to us looking for a specific aesthetic too. But what I really pride myself in and us as a team is that we actually like to get to know the client. We get to know how they want the home to feel, and then we collaborate with them to bring a home to life that feels more collected and layered than I think something that's like perfectly designed. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong when they're designing their homes, especially new builds, is thinking that you have to have a particular design style and kind of put yourself in a box and go down a specific path. A really beautiful home is actually a blend of styles, and so this home became, we called it postmodern tranquility. So the client wanted to blend various styles. She also really wanted it to be a tranquil space. I think this became a space for family, for friends to gather, and a space where previously they had lived in LA, they'd moved a lot, they had come to Austin with this new home and a sense of wanting it to really feel cozy. And it was really important to kind of rid the home of the like RH aesthetic. And when I say that, I mean like the perfectly designed aesthetic and like neutral everything, and add in vintage and artwork. The client loves artwork. So really beautiful original art, vintage pieces, texture, textiles, and create a home that felt a little bit more reflective of their personality. That's the foundation of this home. So we really began focusing on the living room, the bedroom, and the dining room as those anchor rooms of the home. And in the living room, we wanted it to feel modern and cool and kind of bring in that Parisian element, but we also wanted to have a really beautiful color palette. So we started with the textiles actually and the textures. And actually, you know what's interesting about this? So we had a completely different chair planned for this living room. During install, they notified us like, this is the life of a designer. Oh yeah, I know we told you that you could have the chair by install, but actually the chair is 16 weeks out. So we were scrambling and the client was like, it's okay. We found this really cool vintage Italian chair and brought that in. And I think that really ended up being a happy accident, although I still really like the old chair. Bringing this room together, you'll see that we used a blend of different shapes. So we have like the sleek lines of the vintage chair, the curves of the mirror. The mirrors were an element, kind of the Parisian element, right? The blue paired with the burlwood coffee table and the curves of the coffee table, I think pair really nicely with the more masculine feel of the sofa. And that's one thing as you're designing your home, I would like to think about the masculine and feminine soft lines versus harsher lines. And I really like to blend those two together, always with chairs, with sofas, with curves. So that way you never have something that feels too skewed in one direction. My friend Allison came to style the shoot with us and she really helped me style the shelves. Allison and I actually met here in Paris. She lives in Austin. It was a happy accident. She's become one of my really good friends and she's also an interior designer, but she helps me style photo shoots too. And she helped me style helped us all style the shelves. And I think that if you want your home to feel more elevated and bring in a little bit of that French European essence, one way to do that is to practice a lot of restraint in your shelf styling. So only putting very minimal, very key pieces rather than stuffing your shelves with a bunch of things. My light turned off. Well, you can still see me. The bedroom was such a fun space to design. We proposed a canopy bed with fabric, which admittedly you see this kind of trending right now, but this is a very classic style and it's a very beautiful style. And I actually just think that it really fit this space. We didn't opt for it because it was something trending. Clients are business owners and they worked a lot, so they wanted a space that just felt like a complete retreat from the hustle and bustle of day-to-day life, as we all do, right, in our bedrooms. In our mind, and whenever we're working with clients, we like to start off with how they want the space to feel, especially in a bedroom, right? And in this space, we just thought, okay, minimalism, simplicity, and visual lightness. Visual lightness was brought to life with the beautiful draping of the fabric. Like you just kind of felt like you were at a spa or in a cabana, you're on vacation. That came together really nicely. One of the key pieces is the beautiful artwork by Carolyn Wright, and that the client actually found. She brought it to us. She's like, hey, what do you guys think of this? I'm kind of thinking the bedroom. Maybe we were thinking of it for somewhere else and it ended up in the bedroom, but that was like the best thing that could have happened because I mean, imagine being in this bed and you just are looking at this artwork. It almost is like the water lilies, like that curvature feel where you feel enveloped by this artwork. So it's really incredible because you feel like you're in an art gallery. That was like just such a beautiful way to, I love design so much. I loved that we were able to give the client this serene space where really truly I think you could just escape from the rest of the world. You'll see the custom nightstands that we designed with the integrated charging and the lack of a TV in this space. And I think if you are developing a space that you want to feel calm and serene, eliminating digital clutter, so integrated charging stations, no TV, just very, very light, calm space is going to give you that feeling of serenity in your bedroom. The dining room is also super fun to design. And Gabby, as I mentioned, is a senior designer on the team and she and I worked hand in hand, but she really was responsible for bringing this particular space to life. We collaborate on it, but the client really wanted a circular table or wanted to see as many people as possible. So we had to go with a circular table. Gabby found these chairs that actually from Lulu in Georgia that we had reupholstered. So that's a little tip if you want to elevate your space, but you need to buy off the shelf or ready-made chairs. You can do this in a more cost-effective way by selecting a really punchy color fabric from somewhere that's maybe a little bit more affordable, like Pindler. We also like Tonic Living a lot for like more accessible fabrics. Opt for it in a really cool color and reupholster off the shelf or vintage chairs, and now you have something that feels really elevated. So that's what we did here. Actually, the ceiling was supposed to be painted a high gloss color. Didn't end up happening in time for install, but you'll see the texture on the drapery. That was really intentional. The orange undertones paired with the soft blue of the velvet chairs. That was the color palette that we were mirroring from the living room. The majority of the artwork is from a really cool company called Co-Collect based in Austin. You can lease and curate your own collection and have it brought into your home and even trade things out. So this is really cool. The client worked with Co-Collect and they brought in some of the most incredible art, like you can see here in the dining room. Going back to not feeling the need to really hone in on a specific design style, I mean, the Ginori plates are super uber traditional Italian, very European, paired with really, really clean lines. This creates a very cool contrast between old with new and traditional with modern. So you can definitely blend styles, and it's actually how you create a much more interesting space. The entryway is also very cool in this house with the round table lamp mirror. It felt very stately, very beautiful, but also very welcoming as you go up the stairs into the loft, where I actually met the client out in Round Top and we were sourcing vintage pieces. I had seen the chairs, she had seen the chairs, and she was like, okay, what do you think of these? They're amazing. So she ended up purchasing these vintage chairs from Round Top that went into the loft, and a very cool sideboard. So both of those things came from Round Top, and I think this is an example of how you blend in vintage and antique elements into your home. We sort of used those as the jumping off point for this space, as well as this very cool built-in bench. And the visual lightness from the bedroom sort of continued up into the loft, and you'll see that this space is a little bit more feminine, and I'll walk you into a much more masculine space next, balancing the masculine and feminine. The ruffles on the bench here are super cool. And I think actually the client already had the dining table, and that's what we do that a lot. I don't believe in getting rid of all your furniture and just starting new. I like as a designer to blend in clients' personal things because I think that's how you create a home that feels more true to them. Artwork was also by Caroline Wright, which is the same artwork as in the bedroom, was such a fabulous piece to add into this space. And the vintage light fixture. If you're looking for a formula for how to bring a space together, say start with like 2 or 3 really cool vintage pieces. You can use those as a jumping off point, develop your color palette, and then start to layer in some more clean lines and contemporary pieces for this more transitional style. So I mentioned the more masculine space. Going into the media room, man cave, whatever you want to call it, we completely color drenched the space in this really rich, dark, moody color. And then the artwork's just like this pop of pink, and I love blending pinks with navies, blues. It's just such a no-fail color palette. So that was a really fun space to see come together. And then we've got this incredible Zac and Fox fabric on the drapery. And overall, this is an example of how you can add color to a space to That's my best friend calling. It's her birthday. I probably should have answered. And her mom watches YouTube. So Debbie, if you're watching this, hi. Overall, this space is a really good example of how you can use color. I talk about this a lot, but it doesn't cost any more than you'd already be spending to go with an interesting color. So if you're designing a space, I really encourage you to add a little bit of color, even if it's just in a single room, because that's going to start to add some personality into your home. I have no idea how long I've been talking, but I've been with the client all week. We went to the auctions this week here in Paris. She's bought an apartment, so I can't wait to share that project with you. And heading to dinner tonight with some design friends who are visiting from Arizona. And then I'm heading to Reno to do some site visit, check in on some projects in Tahoe, head down to LA. We're visiting a client who is refurnishing her home. It's so cool. It's a very cool period home with lots of interesting architectural elements. And then heading to Tennessee before heading to the Cotswolds for our design retreat with Jamie. So I have the busiest month. This was really fun to shoot though. I hope you're enjoying YouTube. I've spent years getting to know everybody on Instagram, and this is the year for YouTube. So I'm really excited to get to know all of you who are watching my videos, and I hope that you find them helpful. Please, in the comments, let me know what you're interested in seeing more of, less of. At the end of the day, like, these chats are so fun for me because I'm just a girl who loves design, and I get to be a designer. And yes, I built Boxwood, and we have this sort of brand that we have all of these like professional videos and professional shoots and photos and things, but getting to sort of peel back the curtain and have a little bit of behind the design chat is really really fun for me. So I hope you enjoyed this too. And if this was your first time here, be sure to follow along, subscribe, hit that subscribe button, baby. So I will see you next time, and thanks for watching.